Welcome to the Plan Commission meeting for Tuesday, August 4. If you've not been here before, please turn your cell phones off so that they don't interfere with the meeting. We will have staff present each item first, and then the Plan Commission will ask technical questions. No opinions, please, at that time. And then we'll turn it over to the audience for audience input on whatever it is you'd like to say. And please step up to the podium and give your name and address and give your views when it comes time for that. Then it'll go back to the Plan Commission, and we will vote. So having said that, please call the roll.
David Borsuk.
Present.
Ed Bowen.
Here.
Jeffrey Tomes. Thomas Wojtek. John Hintz. Steve Cummings.
Here.
Kathleen Propp.
Here?
Gary Gray.
Here.
Donna Laurie. Robert Weigert.
Here.
Carl Nollenberger.
In attendance.
You have the minutes of the July 21st meeting. What's your pleasure?
Motion to approve. Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. First item, conditional use permit request to allow the construction of parking stalls in excess of zoning code limitations at 505 South Washburn Street.
Thank you, Madam Chair. As was stated, this request is for an oversized parking lot. The Plan Commission may recall a change in the parking ordinance back in 2009 that established minimum and maximum standards for parking, which it's my understanding that this change was a direct result of some concerns that the community was having with some of the larger big box developments that were installing massive parking lots in some of the city's commercial areas. Currently, the code does allow staff to administratively approve an additional 10% increase above the maximum parking standard. However, the proposed additional parking that is being requested today does exceed that, what is permitted by code, which is why the conditional use permit is being requested at this time. The subject site is located on South Washburn Street, midway between Witzel Avenue and 9th Avenue. The property is currently located within the Highway 41 Corridor Overlay District and is zoned C2 General Commercial District, which is consistent with the uses currently fronting Interstate 41. The air photo shows the existing site. I'm going to zoom in here a little bit to a closer up view, and I apologize, it's kind of washed out on the screen. But the existing site does include a 3,100 square foot office building and approximately 8,000 square feet of parking and pedestrian walks. Currently, about 83% of the site is dedicated to landscaping and open space. The applicant is proposing to construct an additional 15 parking stalls for a total of 33 stalls on the site, which is 155% of the maximum 18 parking stalls which would be permitted outright by code, or an additional 45% increase above the 10% administrative allowance. The applicant believes that the additional stalls are necessary based on a number of factors. The current tenant currently employs 7 counselors plus 8 other possible employees. The counselors meet one-on-one with clients, while the next client could possibly be waiting in the waiting room. This would total a minimum of about 29 potential cars at any given time. The applicant also stated that the additional parking stalls would not detract from the site compatibility with surrounding businesses, as they will be located in the rear of the lot. Which you can see here. It's kind of difficult, but the parking is located all behind the existing one-story building. The zoning ordinance does establish criteria when reviewing requests of this nature. Staff felt that 2 of the 4 criteria which were listed in your staff reports, specifically criteria B, which states that the lot is designed to allow for more intensive future site development. Based on the proposed site plan, approximately 24.7% of the lot would be developed, which would leave room for future development to take place at the site, which then could take advantage of the additional parking that is being requested. Based on the information provided, such as the number of counselors and support staff on a given shift, and as well as the number of potential clients, the location of parking behind the building, and the potential for future development to take place at the site, staff would agree with the applicant that the additional 18 parking stalls will not have a negative aesthetic impact on the development and the general area or the community, and is recommending approval for the conditional use permit as proposed.
Thank you. Technical questions? Gary?
Okay. By any chance, do you know the capacity of the building?
I do not.
You do not, okay. Okay, I thought that may be the case, but I'm a little bit concerned about doubling the amount of parking at this location. You know, it's, has anybody taken a look at the potential impact on water runoff or rain runoff on this additional development?
I would defer to Mr. Robbie to
Okay.
address this matter.
The amount of impervious area generated from the additional parking lot being proposed is under the threshold that would trigger management in accordance with Chapter 14 of the Municipal Code.
Okay, so there's no problem.
Right, they would not have to
Okay.
provide management. They would have to, you know, collect the runoff, which there is a catch basin in the grass right out in front of the site, so it's not running directly out the driveway into the street, but it would not trigger stormwater management per Chapter 14.
Okay. The last concern I have is that if there's additional development on this lot, it's probably going to be, unfortunately, a case where there's going to have to be a lot of exceptions, variations, because I'm not sure how a new development would have access to the western part of this lot, because it looks like the current, or the potential, the proposed development here on the east side of the lot covers the whole width of the lot, and so therefore there's no access to Gosford other than driving through the parking lot, and the other potential access is going to other people's property.
Right. Well, in that case, then there would likely need to be a cross-access agreement between the two property, or the tenants in the development, which would then address any access issues, and they could then utilize the same access point for the two developments.
Which okay, it doesn't increase traffic, but that's fine. Okay, that's all. Thank you.
All right. Any other technical questions? David?
If this was a greenfield site, would the total site development then trigger Chapter 14?
I don't remember the total impervious for the entire site off the top of my head, but I do know the way the code is written now, it's, you know, at a cumulative 20,000 square feet. You know, so if they were to completely reconstruct everything, it may trigger. I don't know the exact numbers off the top of my head, though.
8,300 square feet.
Yeah, it's still under.
You got 83% of the site is
Yeah, they're proposed to be
undeveloped.
about 14,000 square feet developed, so it would be under the
Okay.
28,000 threshold.
And then, secondly, if there was additional development on that site, or if a lot, in a sense, an outlot or a backlot would be created, would you look at that for stormwater as cumulative to the site?
Well, it couldn't be an outlot because by definition, an outlot cannot be developed upon. But yes, if there, you know, if there were to be an expansion, it is a cumulative impact when it triggers at 20,000 square feet of cumulative disturbance.
So we would look at the original, the full lot.
Well, it would be based upon what's been added since those revisions went into place on July 1 of 2012. As you may recall, the Stormwater Management Code prior to July 1 of 2012 was much less restrictive. There were much larger sites that would not trigger. Those were narrowed, that site trigger point was reduced significantly with that code change in 2012, and therefore the way the code was written is it's a cumulative impact as of the effective date of that revision.
And I'm sorry, maybe, and maybe the answer is still yes, but that if there was a lot division or something to that effect, and that you would look at both lots concurrently. Whether it's one side or
Typically,
both.
something like that would probably be viewed as a common plan of development, which, yes, it would be looked at as a cumulative.
Thank you.
Any other technical questions? If not, thank you, James. Anybody here from the audience to speak on this issue? Another time, anybody here from the audience to speak on this issue? Seeing none, back to the commission.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Discussion? Call the roll.
Cummings,
Aye.
Gray,
No?
Weigert,
Aye.
Nolenberger,
Aye.
Borsek,
Aye.
Bowen,
Aye.
Prop.
Aye.
Motion carried 6-1.
Item 2, Plan Development Review and Two-Lot Land Division Certified Survey Map to allow development of a retail and training center building, Goodwill, at 2303 Westtown Avenue.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. I'm going to break this into two parts, first being the certified survey map, and the second part being the plan development review. Just to give you some background information, petitioner is requesting approval of a two-lot land division located at 2303 Westtown Avenue, which is located mid-block between South Washburn Street and North Washburn Street and Northwest Haven Drive on the south side of the street. Currently, the subject site is currently Zone C2 PD. That's a general commercial district with a planned development overlay. Currently, the site, I'm going to switch over to air photo close up here. Currently, the site is developed with a strip-style multi-tenant strip building on the north side with associated parking, two detention features, one smaller one on the north side along West Town, and a larger stormwater detention feature on the west side. Proposed Lot 2, located on the southwest corner of the subject site. Mostly undeveloped with exception of driveway kind of clipping the southwest corner of the lot and some shared driveway access. Otherwise, the site is primarily undeveloped. The surrounding area is predominantly commercial in nature, both service and retail. So a little more background information. This was a previously approved plan development for a larger area, approved back in 2001, called West Town Center. That included the subject site as well as Menards and Festival Food Center, multiple family dwellings on the south side, some office spaces to the southwest of the development, and the aforementioned strip center along the north side with associated parking, off-street parking areas. This plan pretty much was followed as is with some minor deviations. About 5-6 years ago, Menards acquired some additional lands to expand their outdoor storage facility, which kind of engulfed this area. So per this plan, the proposed Goodwill store is located a couple hundred feet towards the northwest, but otherwise this development plan pretty much has been followed as approved back in 2001. Back to the lots here. Proposed Lot 1, it's very regularly shaped, containing the strip center, the two detention ponds. At this time, the petitioner is not proposing any additional construction on the site. Proposed Lot 2 is located at the southwestern corner, approximately 2.1 acres in size. Is, as I said before, undeveloped with the exception of the shared driveway accessing Menards storage area and the shared parking access on the north side. Proposed Lot 2 is shown to be a landlocked parcel. That is a parcel of land that does not have any direct access to public right-of-way. This site would be a challenge to give it direct access. There's a 30-foot wide minimum frontage requirement and a 60-foot width at the building setback line. As you can see with the previous development, that would be next to impossible to achieve. So staff is in support of a base standard modification from the subdivision regulations to allow the creation of the proposed landlocked parcel, with a couple of conditions to provide cross-access easement along the shared driveway leading to Menards, as well as a cross-access easement along the northerly shared lot lines between lots 2 and 1 to allow lot 2 access West Town Avenue. The Department of Public Works reviewed the proposed CSM. I'm just going to go over here. It's kind of a 2-page CSM, one showing just the general proposed lot split, and then a more detailed one showing some more detailed information. The petitioner does indicate the shared cross-access easement along the west side here, but does not indicate any cross-access along the north side, so we are going to be putting that on as a condition of approval. The Department of Public Works reviewed the proposed CSM and commented that portions of the Menards property utilizes proposed lot 2 to access this drainage feature on the west side, as well as Goodwill's development will be utilizing portions of this detention feature. So Public Works is requesting a condition for the creation of any necessary private storm sewer easements to be prepared, reviewed by the Department of Public Works, and recorded at the Register of Deeds with the recording information placed on the final CSM prior to the city signing off on it. So that's it. That's all I have for the CSM. We're recommending approval as proposed with 3 conditions. One for the base standard modification to allow the creation of a landlocked parcel. Second one, the second cross-access easement along the northerly lot line of Lot 2 to allow access out to West Town Avenue. And the third condition, any necessary stormwater easements be shown and recorded at the Winnebago County Register of Deeds and placed on the final CSM prior to approval. Let me just jump into the plan development then.
Should you just go ahead and explain the whole thing right now? Hearing no problem.
Okay. The second portion is the applicant is proposing to utilize the southern portion of the previously discussed CSM, sized 2.11 acres, for development of a Goodwill retail store and training center. This is a proposed site plan. The proposed building is immediately north of Menards solid screened outdoor storage area, east of the existing driveway access leading to the Menards storage area, and south of the existing strip center, and then over to the east is a pond, and then a little further east is the Lowe's development. The proposed use of a retail and training center is consistent with the C2 zoning district, and the approval of the development plan will meet the requirements of the Plan Development Overlay District, which it lies. The petitioner states that they're proposing to have a total of 44 employees with a maximum of 22 employees per any given shift, and the store is proposed to have hours between 8 a.m. and 8 p.m. Monday through Friday, 8 to 9 on Saturday, and then 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. on Sunday. The proposed building is shown to be 21,200 square feet in size, located on the southern portion of the lot, with parking located immediately to the north of the structure. As proposed, 23% of the lot will be covered by the building footprint. 59 will be utilized for shared parking and off-street parking area, off-street parking area and driveway access, and then approximately 18% will be utilized for open and green space. The building is shown to be set back 10 feet from the south lot line, where in the C2 district, a 25-foot rear yard setback is required. as well as they're proposing some substandard setbacks for the off-street parking access, which is showing, oh, I'm sorry, over here, which will have a 0-foot lot line, or 0-foot setback for the parking, or the driveway access on the west side, as well as a 0-foot setback along the north side. The petitioner stated in their narrative that the shape of the lot is rather unique. They had to modify the building footprint to fit the site properly. And staff does not have any concerns with the reduced setback along the south side. It's not very highly visible, will not have a detrimental effect on the surrounding area. The petitioner stated in their narrative that any stormwater runoff derived from the roof will be collected in stormwater piping and conveyed to the adjacent pond. So there shouldn't be any stormwater drainage issues affecting the Menards property. So staff is in support of the base standard modification for the building setback. As far as the 0-foot setback variances for the north and south, or north and west lot line, as I said earlier, the parcel is landlocked, so obviously any way for vehicles to enter and exit the site will need driveway access. So staff is in support of the 0-foot setback to access, or for the proposed driveway openings leading to and from the site. So staff is in support of those two base standard modification. Under review, placement of all other site improvements do conform to the dimension regulations of the underlining C2 zoning designation. Access is proposed to be made by a 24-foot wide full access driveway on the west side and the shared parking area on the north side. As mentioned before, cross access will be needed, but that will be handled under the CSM approval. The petitioner is showing a total of 91 surface parking stalls, including 4 handicap stalls, 2 located along the front of the building there, and then 2 additional ones. The proposed number of stalls meets a minimum of 71 and a maximum of 106 stalls that's dictated by code. The layout shows 3 internal parking rows, 2 of which show the required landscape islands on either end of the row, with the middle one omitting the parking lot or the parking island on the south side to accommodate for vehicle access for the handicap stalls. Staff is not in support of an omission of this southern island. We reviewed the site, and there are other options to accommodate additional handicap stalls. They could be placed along the front of the building there without any significant loss of parking, and that island can be easily added to the site. The western islands show the eastern 11 to 12 feet to be paved. The petitioner did not state in their narrative any reasoning to why these sections are being paved. Staff is not in support of a base standard modification to omit or to pave over those eastern portions unless the petitioner can demonstrate or justify why the pavement is needed, if it's needed for truck turning movements, etc. So yeah, staff is not in support of that base standard modification. The parking plan shows 2 drive-up lanes leading to donation drop-off site on the eastern portion of the building with a canopy extending out. Staff's comfortable with traffic flow, doesn't have any concerns with that. We are recommending a condition that there shall be no overnight storage of donated goods or retail merchandise over the on the property located around here, so we'll be adding that as a condition of approval. One item, the plan does not show any pedestrian connections from the proposed development leading to Westtown Avenue. This will require a base standard modification, as it is a code requirement for that pedestrian connection to a public right-of-way. I'm going to go back to the air photo. Actually, this will work right there. When staff reviewed this, there's no practical way to get that pedestrian connection to Westtown Avenue. The strip center predates the code requirement for the pedestrian connection, and the proposed development for Goodwill doesn't show any type of connection leading north out of the site, so staff felt that it would be burdensome for the developer to retrofit both sites, or the north site, and then redesign the southern site to accommodate the pedestrian connection, so staff is in support of a base standard modification to not require the pedestrian access leading out to Westtown Avenue. Let's see, let me go back to this one here. As far as the dumpster and trash enclosure, the submitted plan shows that the trash enclosures are going to be stored internally, along with a compactor and waste and an area for compactor and waste and recyclable materials. Therefore, no external trash enclosure is going to be required for this site. Landscaping and lighting, a preliminary landscape plan was submitted. Initial review shows that they meet the minimum quantities needed per code requirements. Staff would like to see some additional landscaping along the west side, possibly by maybe relocating a couple of these proposed arborvitae from the south side, maybe place 2 or 3 of them along here, since this area is effectively shielded from the Menard site. It's not viewed or visible from the public right-of-way, so that's just one little minor suggestion that will come up at site plan review. Again, as I mentioned before, the eastern 2 landscape islands are omitting the two required trees. They're only showing 1 with addition of some additional shrubs. As I mentioned before, if they can demonstrate why these end caps need to be paved, we'd consider that. But at this time, we are requesting that both those trees be placed per code. The petitioner also, I'm sorry, I have to go back to the parking lot layout. I'm sorry, I missed. The petitioner also omitted a landscape island on the south side over here. Again, in the narrative, no reasoning was given. We're presuming if was omitted for traffic movements, we'd consider that, but we would not recommend approval of a base standard modification for the omission of this southern parking lot island. Sorry, I missed that before. Okay, the submittal, the petitioner did not include a lighting and photometric plan, but will be required during site plan review and required to meet code requirements. Stormwater management, when developed, the stormwater will be directed to I'm sorry. Oh, I'm going the wrong way here. Stormwater will be directed to this shared pond on the east side of the development. The pond's going to be modified slightly to accommodate the additional impervious area. And final stormwater plans will be reviewed and approved by the Department of Public Works, and again with the condition from the certified survey map that any easements and or maintenance agreements will be reviewed by Public Works and recorded at the Register of Deeds with CSM approval. As far as the building design, go to the elevations here. There we go. The proposed retail building and training center is proposed to be 22.5 feet tall. It's a single-story structure. The proposed building is primarily split-face concrete block that's going to be painted white along the lower 14 feet of the elevation, with ephes bands covering the upper 8.5 feet, and that's going along the north, east, and west facades. The north facade has 2 entries, one for the primary retail shopping center, and a second doorway leading to the the donation drop-off area. The north facade also has 2 overhead doors. That's part of the recycling and their internal waste management area. The south facade is proposed to be right here. It's proposed to be pre-finished metal wall panels broken up by several aluminum windows, breaking up the large expanse. Staff normally would have a concern with this, but I'm going to go to this next slide here. Normally, we'd have a concern with the metal wall panels, but since the rear facade is very effectively screened from public view as it's in close proximity to the Menards outdoor storage yard, it's tucked way back on the south side of the property, and it's even angled in a way where the south facade's not going to be hardly visible even from the driveway leading into Menard's storage facility. So staff's not overly concerned with the proposed metal panels on that south facade. Here's a rendering of the proposed building, a typical Goodwill look. It's fitting with surrounding retail developments in the area, and staff's not overly concerned with the look, and feels it's consistent with the adjacent properties as a whole. Go back a couple to talk about signage. Okay, signage, they're proposing a monument sign located at the northwest corner of the property with landscaping encompassing it. They have not provided any specifics on the signage, but it'll just need to meet the C2 requirements as far as size and placement. The petitioner is also requesting a base standard modification to allow some off-premise signage in the form, there we go, of a monument sign located at the strip center. They're proposing to add another panel to this existing sign. So they will need a base standard modification for the off-premise signage. Staff is in support of the base standard modification as the Goodwill site is tucked rather far away from Westtown Avenue. And the development is landlocked and not very visible from the street, so we are in support of that base standard modification. So with that, sorry if I was a little winded, but staff is in support of the plan development with 5 conditions. I'll just jot through or run through them real fast. The first one is for the base standard modification to allow the building to be set back 10 feet where 25 feet would normally be required. Second base standard modification for the two parking lot setbacks, 0 foot for the north setback and 0 foot for the westerly side yard setback. Condition for no overnight storage of donated goods or retail goods on the property. Another base standard modification from the parking code to omit the required pedestrian connection to Westtown Avenue. And the last base standard modification to allow the off-premise signage at the strip center location.
Big breath. Technical questions, Carl?
I just want to be clear on one issue. The items you mentioned under the landscaping and lighting, the suggestions you had for additional landscaping and the lighting issue,
Okay.
those do not have to be a condition at this time, but instead can be a subject to the site plan review. Is that what I'm understanding?
Which issue?
Well, for instance, the additional landscaping along the west building facade.
That's more or less a suggestion that we're going to point out during the site plan review process, that instead of these arborvitae down here not being very visible, that they'd be better suited being located on the western portion of the property.
So they don't need to be a condition of this approval. They should be,
You can add it as a condition.
because I agree with all 3 of your suggestions.
Mm-hmm. Okay. If you'd like, yeah, you can make that as a condition.
Other technical
I think
questions?
we should.
Gary?
Oh.
Well, we can entertain that as a motion later. Gary first, then David.
Do you know why the lots are so strange in shape? I mean, lot 2 has 7 sides to it, and it zigzags back and forth.
The petitioner probably wanted to keep all the stormwater management facilities on one lot, and this is an existing lot or an existing detention pond over on the east side here. So the developer probably didn't want a lot line splitting that. Yeah, I agree, it's unusually shaped. Lot 2 is more or less rectangular in shape. They're just kind of working with what's existing.
Okay, and presumably Lot 1 is developed as much as perhaps is possible? Or hasn't that been taken a look at because of the odd shape? Because if there's additional development, well, okay, if the retention pond is on the east side, yeah. Okay,
And looking at the air photo, Lot 1 more or less is entirely developed. You have the strip center, the parking, the smaller detention pond on the north side. I mean, there might be room for a small addition here, but there's a 25-foot setback required along here, so it's pretty much built out to the maximum.
okay. My other comments are similar to Carl's, so I will wait until Carl makes the comments.
David?
Talk about.
3 questions. Did I understand you that trash enclosure and the receiving dock are undercover, under roof?
Yes.
Normally, we have a corral gate in front of those. Was there any mention of that?
They are having, here, let me go to the, there are going to be overhead doors. Yeah, they're being shown as 2 overhead doors. I don't know if it shows that on the color rendering or not. Yeah, they're kind of hidden. Yeah, you can see one of them. Oh no, that's hidden from that view. Yeah, they're showing the trash enclosure to be accessed by 2 overhead doors.
Oh, I understand that, but...
Trash enclosure is actually inside the building based on the information that's been submitted. So there's not actually an enclosure around it. It is physically inside the building.
Okay, so there's, okay.
Okay.
So there's no compactor outside, it's not...
No, it's
not a
internal.
bolt-on,
Internal.
okay. Secondly,
You'll have your turn in a minute.
I think he wants to respond to the question on the trash enclosure, though.
well, I can wait.
Well, he can wait, he can wait.
I can wait.
Save up the things to comment on.
Dan, is there any concern with the closeness to the property line, the parking lot to the to the stormwater detention pond, that there's any encroachment or that there may be any damage to it? Or are there any barriers or provisions made so that that won't happen?
No, if I remember correctly from the site plan, the parking lot has to be curbed anyhow, correct, Jeff?
Yes.
So, you've got your typical 6-inch curb around the parking lot, so that provides, a barrier, if you will, for vehicles to be getting over it. And from looking at the plans, I don't have any concerns over potential failures of the slopes or anything with the detention basin.
And then the last question is, you mentioned the removal of a part of the footprint of the traffic aisles. And where does that review come from?
I think he's talking about the 2 landscape islands, Jeff, on the east side.
I'm sorry, yeah.
How do we ensure that the landscape islands remain, I think is what
Well,
David's
yeah,
trying
or
to say.
what is
In
the
our
confidence
appropriate-
level or the justification that that would be a modification to the development plan?
Those 2 islands are required by code, therefore, during site plan review, they should be on the final plan for approval.
Okay, so
Unless
they're-
that modification to the base standard
Yeah.
is given.
unless
you
they came
can-
here and said that that would be a condition.
That'd be, the board can recommend a base standard modification to omit those 2 islands, but otherwise they do have to follow code and show both those islands.
Okay.
Any other technical questions? Now, members of the audience, please come forward to the podium.
Good afternoon, I'm Rick Fisher with Fisher and Associates Architects. I'm the architect for the project. I have a copy of some revised landscaping plans and site plans that will address some of the issues you have concerns about. About 10, so I hope I'm not. The first item would be the 2 partially paved landscape islands that I had shown. in working with our civil engineer and the transportation department from Goodwill, originally we had those as shortened, just because we've learned over the years that wherever we put something in a parking lot, the semi will hit it. We have shown through with our civil engineers that we can make the turn with the landscape island, so I've revised the plan to show the landscape islands at those 2 locations. There's one additional one at the end of I believe there's 7 parking spaces along the retaining wall. If that is a base standard modification, we'd prefer to have that. Typically, these semis will be in off hours. The only semis that come to the site are Goodwill semis. They do central distribution, so there's one truck that'll come, pick up the trailer, remove the trailer, so it's only their equipment on site, no others. So we're hoping that, we're granted a base standard modification to not put an end cap island on that one space.
And you're referring to the far easterly?
Far east, yes.
By the drop-off?
This one here.
That one right there. Yeah. With regard to the dumpster enclosure, we actually have a permanently installed compactor that will be outside the building. It's in the far outside lane, far north side, and it will be a compactor enclosed, covered, and then have the box attached to it. So, so it's a sealed process, so they don't typically have anything that gets out. There's a compactor from the inside. It's fed from the inside. That's all their waste material. They have centralized recycling at their main campus, so as they shuffle things around, from this location, they plan to bring their recycled materials back to the central distribution center where they have, bulk recycling. One other item that we would request was that we're not sure of the construction date of this project, and this approval is part of the due diligence prior to purchasing the land. And I think we're planning on starting construction either next fall or the following spring, so I don't know what the duration is of these approvals.
Once this is approved by council, it's like a zoning approval for the entire site, so it goes with the property, so there is no expiration on the plan development.
On this approval?
On the plan development. Mhm.
That plan, I imagine, has a...
Mhm.
Okay. The landscaping plan that was revised,
Yeah, I
takes
see
into
that, looks
account
good.
the suggestion of adding landscaping to the west side. We also moved the transformer location on the backside for better access for Wisconsin Public Service. So I think I know there's a few other stormwater management comments on the site plan review side, but those are being addressed as well, so.
Gary?
I have a question for you, which you hopefully will have an answer to. Is this going to be a new facility or just a facility that's moved or combined?
It'll be a new facility.
So there's going to be almost fully full new employees hired? Oh,
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
David?
And I'm not sure how the dialogue goes here, but it was the clarification that the trash compactor is outside and the
Yes.
container outside. We would need a modification, a base
Baseline
modification
modification.
for that. Normally, that is required to be fully enclosed, whether it's a compactor or individual, 2-yard boxes or 4-yard boxes. And I'm not sure when and where to start that dialogue, but
Okay.
So, one of the features that we added, is on the east side of this, there is a screen wall, a masonry screen wall that matches the building. And I guess that's how, when we looked at the orientation of the site, this is, option number 7, I think, for the building location. So you can see on the east elevation there that there's actually a screen wall that completely blocks it from the
Yeah.
side view. And it's also recessed substantially it's a recessed dock. So we tried to put that loading dock and that compactor are as far away from, visible sight as possible, and screened it with the screen wall.
Then can I follow up?
Sure, continue to ask him questions.
Yeah, well, and it's normally, normally the screen walls or the enclosures would be a similar construction, at least in a planned development. What kind of building materials would you be?
It's masonry painted to match the rest of the building, yeah. It's 8 feet tall from the floor line up, and then, so it's actually, where the actual compactor is, the wall is 12 feet tall.
Thank you very much.
You heard the other comments from the planning staff. Are you in support of their suggestions with that exception on the island of the 7-stall, at the island
Yeah,
at the end
I
of the...
think, yes.
So the other comments that they made, replacing the the island in the center, that's all right? with
Yep,
you?
that's already it's already reflected in this plan I just
Okay.
presented, so.
Good.
Excellent. Yeah, so I'm fine with everything.
Other technical questions, or other questions of the, Mr. Fisher? Not right now, thank you. Somebody else want to speak on the plans? No? Nobody else wishes to speak? Okay, back to the commission.
Make a motion to approve if we can add the landscaping to the requirements. I believe that was what you were talking about, right, Carl?
Yes. Additional landscaping along the west.
His plan has,
Yeah.
as resubmitted, shows a lot of
Lot
landscaping.
more there now.
over here.
Yeah, I saw that.
I don't think it would hurt if we add these landscape things, even though it seems like those conditions have been accepted and have been put on the
Okay.
bonds.
Well, I think we're having a consultation about how to rate the condition.
Okay, and then, I guess,
How would we rate the condition on that, condition 6?
I'm sorry, I was away from my desk for
We're
a
talking,
second.
somebody
All
rephrased
additional
what we're talking-
landscaping.
Maybe Carl, that was his
Okay.
original idea.
Sure.
Adding landscaping to the west.
That's the issue that I wanted to make sure was number 6, and Bob, I think, already said that
I
in
already
essence.
said that.
Adding
As part of his
landscaping
motion.
to the west side.
Base standard, no, that's not a
No,
base
it's
standard
just
modification.
condition.
Okay. Could you give us some wording?
Yeah. Addition of additional landscaping along the western facade as approved by the Department of Community Development.
Okay,
And then, I guess
that'd be
that,
condition 6.
yes, and then we're recommending adding a 7th one from our discussions here, that the petitioner has demonstrated the reason to omit that southern parking island, or parking lot island on the eastern side. So we would recommend a base standard modification for the omission of the southern parking lot island on the east perimeter of the parking lot.
And that'd be condition 7.
Correct.
Agreed.
Okay,
I second the motion.
all right. Any more discussion? Questions about the motion? Ready to vote? Call the roll.
Doing it in two?
With those 7 with those 7 base standard modifications.
Are you doing it in two?
And-
There's the CSM and there's the...
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
I
absolutely.
I'm
wasn't sure
sorry.
you were doing...
Thank you. We should vote on the CSM first.
You know, just keeping you guys honest.
Move for approval of this.
Second.
Is there a second?
I seconded.
Okay. Any question? Please call the roll on the CSM. Sorry,
It's okay.
we don't have a CSM, we have a development.
Cummings.
Aye.
Gray.
Aye.
Weigert.
Aye.
Nollenberger.
Aye.
Borzak.
Aye.
Bowen.
Present.
Crop.
Aye.
Motion carried, 6-0-1.
Thank you. Back to the motion on the plan development review. We're all set to call the roll on that one, I think.
Cummings.
Aye.
Gray.
Aye.
Weigert.
Aye.
Knollenberger.
Aye.
Boyce.
Aye.
Bowen.
Present.
And Cook.
Aye.
Motion carried, 6-0-1.
Well, does that to conclude our business?
I can move to adjourn,
To
though.
adjourn.
Yeah, I love about that.
Second?
I'll second it, though.
Second.
All in
I'll second
favor,
it.
say aye.
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 Opposed?
Aye, aye.
Favor stand.